Imagine being surrounded by toxic people, absorbing your energy and undermining your peace of mind. Frustrating, right? But what if I told you there's a way to transform this scenario? In this video, we're going to explore 12 powerful strategies inspired by ancient Stoic philosophy that will help you handle toxic people with grace and wisdom. You'll learn to remain calm amid chaos, respond with intelligence instead of anger, and establish healthy boundaries, guilt-free. Ready to turn conflicts into opportunities for growth? Then stay tuned and let's dive into these timeless Stoic principles. Number 1. Prune toxic influences. Imagine your mind as a beautiful, serene garden. The flowers that bloom there are your peace, wisdom, and happiness. But like any garden, weeds can invade and hinder the growth of these flowers. These weeds are the toxic influences, people who undermine your confidence, sow negativity, or drain your energy. As a gardener tends to his plants, carefully removing any harmful elements, you too must be mindful of who and what you allow to take root in your mind. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, teaches us that we have control over our minds and our inner responses, but not over external events. This principle is vital when dealing with toxic individuals. If you find yourself constantly feeling drained, agitated, or uneasy after interacting with someone, it's a clear sign that they're impacting your mental garden negatively. It doesn't mean you have to completely cut them out of your life. Sometimes that's not possible or even necessary. What it means is that you should establish firm boundaries that protect your peace. You can limit your exposure to them, choose when and how you engage, or simply not let their words and actions take root in your thoughts. Picture yourself as a gardener, trimming away the weeds to allow your flowers to flourish. Similarly, when you prune toxic influences, you create space for positivity and growth. This conscious effort to guard your mind ensures that your inner peace remains untarnished. Remember, the power to protect your mind is always within your control. Once you have pruned these influences, you can focus on nurturing the relationships that truly contribute to your well-being. Number 2. Establish clear boundaries. To build a peaceful mind, you need a strong wall, a fortress to protect your inner self. Boundaries are not meant to shut people out, but to define where your comfort zone lies. Just as a ruler defends the borders of his realm, you must guard your emotional and mental territory. Toxic people often push these boundaries, testing your patience and resilience. But boundaries aren't about punishing others, they're about showing respect for yourself. Start by identifying what behaviors drain your energy or diminish your self-worth. It could be a friend's constant negativity, a colleague's manipulative behavior, or a family member's intrusive advice. Once you're clear about what drains you, communicate your boundaries firmly but respectfully. For example, instead of saying, "You always make me feel bad," reframe it to, "I feel exhausted," when the conversation focuses only on negative aspects. Be specific and clear in your language. Instead of vague statements like, "I need space," try saying, "I'm not available to discuss this right now, but we can talk later." Expressing your limits with confidence and consistency teaches others how you wish to be treated. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, knew the importance of defending his inner peace. He didn't allow the constant pressures of leading an empire to break his inner walls. Similarly, when you uphold your boundaries, you create a safe space where your peace and clarity can thrive. If your boundaries are met with resistance, calmly restate them. Persistence is key. Over time, people will understand and either respect your limits or distance themselves. It's crucial to remember that maintaining boundaries isn't a one-time task. It's a continuous practice, just as a gardener constantly tends to his garden. Strengthening your boundaries empowers you to protect your inner peace without feeling guilty. Number 3. Master the art of repetition. Toxic people often employ manipulative tactics to erode your boundaries and control your actions. To counter this, adopt the Stoic technique of repetition. This doesn't mean repeating yourself angrily or defensively, but calmly and firmly holding your position, no matter how many times you are tested. Picture yourself as a rock, unyielding against the crashing waves of emotional manipulation. With each attempt to push your limits, you respond with the same steady reply. Let's say someone is trying to convince you to do something against your values. Rather than getting drawn into a debate, Simply repeat, "I appreciate your perspective, but this is my decision." The more consistent you are, the more the manipulative person will realize they can't sway you. This repetition signals that your boundaries are not up for negotiation. It's a subtle but powerful way of asserting your autonomy. This technique also prevents you from being derailed by emotional arguments. Toxic people may try to guilt trip you or use flattery to break your resolve. But by sticking to your core message, calmly, repeatedly, you reinforce your position. Epictetus, another revered Stoic philosopher, taught that true freedom comes from being able to say no, without guilt or justification. Mastering the art of repetition helps you maintain control of your thoughts and actions, making it harder for others to manipulate your emotions. Number 4. Avoid reacting to provocations. Toxic people thrive on provoking others. They use insults, sarcasm, or passive-aggressive comments to lure you into a reaction. By reacting, you feed into their narrative and give them the control they seek. The Stoic approach, however, advises something counterintuitive. Don't engage. Instead, practice indifference. This doesn't mean you're cold or uncaring. It means you refuse to let others disturb your peace. When someone throws a verbal jab at you, take a deep breath and recognize it for what it is, a bid for your attention. Acknowledge the comment without emotion and move on. Marcus Aurelius teaches that it's not the comment itself that causes harm, but our interpretation of it. By choosing to interpret provocations as meaningless noise, you rob them of their power. If a person criticizes your work or questions your character, instead of responding defensively, simply say, "Thank you for sharing your thoughts." This neutral response doesn't give them the emotional reaction they seek, and over time, they'll realize their attempts to provoke you are futile. Practicing this level of control takes patience, but it's incredibly freeing. Number 5, choose silence wisely. Sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all. Silence can be a tool of strength, a statement that you refuse to be drawn into unnecessary conflict. Toxic people often escalate their behavior when they see they're not getting the reaction they want. They may raise their voice, intensify their attacks, or switch tactics. But by choosing silence, you show them that you won't play their game. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When you choose silence, you're not ignoring the person, but rather signaling that you won't engage in negativity. This silence isn't passive. It's a form of active resistance. Imagine someone hurling insults at you, expecting you to retaliate. Your silence speaks volumes. It shows that you're not affected, that you're above the drama. However, silence isn't applicable in all situations. If someone is crossing a boundary or if the situation escalates to aggression, you may need to assert yourself verbally. But in many cases, silence is a way of disarming the toxic person, making their attempts to provoke seem empty and ineffective. Number 6, don't absorb their negativity. Think of yourself as a solid rock in a turbulent sea. Toxic people are like waves crashing against you, but you remain unmoved and unaffected. Their negativity isn't yours to absorb or internalize. Epictetus teaches us that we cannot control others' actions, but we can control our reactions. This philosophy is the key to not letting negativity infiltrate your mind. When someone complains incessantly or criticizes you, step back mentally. Observe their behavior as if you were watching a play unfold, without letting their negativity seep into your emotions. This technique helps you maintain emotional distance and prevents their negativity from influencing your mood. For instance, if a coworker is constantly gossiping or spreading rumors, instead of engaging or letting it affect you, acknowledge it with neutrality and move on. By maintaining this mental separation, you keep your inner calm intact. It's not about ignoring others' feelings, but about not taking on their emotional baggage as your own. Number 7, seek positive influences. The Stoics believed in surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. This doesn't mean you should only associate with those who always agree with you, but rather those who challenge you to grow and maintain your serenity. Just as a gardener chooses which plants to cultivate, you must be deliberate about the people you allow into your life. Find those who embody virtues you aspire to develop: courage, wisdom, patience. Engage with them, learn from them, and let their presence encourage your own personal growth. This support system will act as a buffer against toxic individuals, reminding you of the values you wish to cultivate and the person you wish to become. Number 8. Prioritize self-care. Dealing with toxic people can take a toll on your emotional and physical health. That's why it's crucial to incorporate self-care practices into your daily routine. This might include exercise, meditation, or simply engaging in activities that bring you joy. By making time to recharge and nurture yourself, you build resilience against the draining effects of negativity. Consider adding mindfulness meditation to your routine. Meditation helps clear your mind and strengthens your focus, making it easier to remain centered when toxic people try to pull you into their chaos. Physical activities like yoga or running can also release stress and restore your energy levels. Remember, self-care isn't selfish. It's essential to maintaining your mental fortitude. Number 9. Practice detachment. When someone is acting in a toxic manner, it's easy to get caught up in their drama. But Stoicism teaches us to practice detachment. This doesn't mean you're apathetic or indifferent. Instead, it means observing the situation objectively and not allowing yourself to be emotionally entangled. Imagine you're watching a storm from a safe distance. You see the chaos of the wind and rain, but you're not in the middle of it. This is how you should approach interactions with toxic people. Observe their behavior without judgment or emotional involvement. Recognize that their toxicity reflects their own issues, not yours. This mindset keeps you grounded and prevents you from being drawn into their turbulence. Number 10. Let them follow their own path. One of the hardest lessons of Stoicism is accepting that you cannot change others. People will only change if and when they're ready. Your role is not to force transformation, but to lead by example and offer support when it's genuinely sought. If someone's behavior consistently disrupts your peace, sometimes the best action is to step back and let them walk their own path. You can't drag someone along your journey of growth if they're not willing to walk it themselves. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you recognize the limits of your influence. Let them make their own choices, even if those choices lead to suffering. Focus on your own growth and accept that each person's journey is unique. Number 11. The art of strategic withdrawal. Sometimes the best way to deal with toxic people is to remove yourself from their presence. This doesn't mean cutting them off abruptly or avoiding all conflict, but reducing your interactions gradually. If a friendship or relationship consistently brings more harm than good, it might be time to step away. Start by limiting your interactions, then slowly disengage. Remember, this isn't an act of cowardice, it's an act of self-respect. By distancing yourself from negativity, you create space for positivity to enter your life. Number 12. Forgive yourself and let go. Finally, the Stoics teach that the greatest power we have is the power over our own minds. If you've allowed toxic people to affect you in the past, forgive yourself. Don't carry the burden of resentment or regret. Accept that you did the best you could with the knowledge you had at the time. As Seneca said, the greatest cure for anger is delay. Take time to process, heal, and move forward with renewed wisdom. Letting go isn't about forgetting, it's about releasing the emotional hold the past has on you. By forgiving yourself, you free your mind to focus on what truly matters, cultivating peace, wisdom, and inner strength. Each of these 12 principles, inspired by Stoic wisdom, provides a pathway to dealing with toxic people. Embrace them, practice them, and remember that your greatest power lies within you. The path to inner peace begins and ends with your own thoughts and actions.